Hi, I'm Sydney, and I am a servant of the Almighty God. I am, for most of my career, I've been a software engineer. I've also been, I spent some time towards being a civil engineer, and I worked a lot in petroleum, in refineries and that sort of thing. So I'm very much someone who, believes in science. But in this episode of Recognizing God's Omnipotence, I want to focus on is mass hypnosis a spiritual thing? The the reason I have kind of been meditating on this, and I hope I have got the correct inspiration that kind of addresses this, is because as a software engineer for quite a while, I have been a consultant, and I've been in many places in the US, or several places I should say, East Coast, West Coast kind of thing. And everywhere I go, I encounter some people that you stay in contact with because you have some things in common. But I've noticed over the last couple of years a very, very interesting phenomenon that had me, wondering, and I sleep on it, and I pray, and I ask for inspiration. It's like, what is this about? How does this come about? So the first part of, mass hypnosis, right? Well, we kind of understand that that's something occurring to many people. But is it a spiritual thing? So I want to spend a little time and delve into the spiritual thing and why I believe in it. Because if you just look out, you have a pet, look at your pet, look at people around you, and what we see is such wonderful designs. We see from the skin to everything that goes within, all the processes. And I've talked about hibernation, which seems magical, that something could stay hungry for that long and not die, because we have these autonomic systems that know how to, it's even within us, right? When we're sleeping, things take over. So we have this wonderful, wonderful design that when you think about it, we see anything you look at the outside, and not only that, you look at the ecosystem, something so wonderful from the skin, our eyes, our brains. And when we die, there's a system that reuses all of that. So we see this ecosystem, we see this food chain, this recycling naturally, And again, I think of natural and nature as the manifestation of God's omnipotence. Because we see design, we see wonderful, intellectual and in engineering, we see wonderful, wonderful stuff once we look at it. And it takes some distancing yourself from reality to think that these animals, like when we talk about, echolocation and hibernation, all these things, that these animals design this, or random design these things. And this is where I realize, and through these inspirations, that there is a spiritual component, some intelligence that design these things, so that they all work together as part of an ecosystem. Now, and again, all religions are based on something spiritual. But if we recognize spirituality is not like us. It does not have, a start date and an end date. So you think of something that has been around, these spirits, these angels, demons, whatever, they've been around forever. We have this wonderful, thing we call, psychology, psychiatry. And there's only one part that I disagree with. It's where they eliminate anything spiritual, because they do a great job of understanding the human beings, our psyche. They do a wonderful job. But think about this. If in our few hundred years or thousands of years, if we have done such a wonderful job of understanding human beings, the spirits that are around us, how well would they understand us? How well would they understand our strengths, our weaknesses, our vulnerabilities? And this is why I recognize that they infect us through our will. They understand our vulnerabilities. And so we, of course, have free will. We can, strive to be good. We can immunize ourselves by building personal relationship with our Creator, where we practice, Haley, honesty, altruism, love, and inclusion, or we obey the commandments, like thou shalt not bear false witness, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not covet. So the demons of greed, deception, lust, and hate, they recognize that we have these human fallibilities that they can thrust upon and they can use to impinge upon our will. And so what I am seeing is by several people, and maybe I'm being a little bit on the edge here, but I see these are people who, go to church. That's it. Go to church. And now it's amazing. Several people that I have been in communication with, it's amazing to hear people who deny things they've seen with their eyes. And they said, well, this person said this. And I said, but did you see this with your eyes? Well, that does not matter. And I'm going, and because I've seen it multiple times, or I've communicated with them, and I'm like, something is, I get the definite feeling that there is something otherworldly that has grouped them together. It's almost like this something recognized that they all are vulnerable. And now it has coalesced and it seems to be controlling their will, so that reality, they're living in this alternate reality where it does not matter what they see. It does not matter what anybody else validate. It does not matter when you have an argument that may be in the legal sphere that says this is, and it repeatedly, none of that matters. All that matters is the words of certain individuals. This sounds very much like what we see in cults, right? Someone goes into a cult, and so through this inspiration, I am getting this sort of, I don't want to say a feeling, but it's this inspiration that, yes, our spiritual component, because I talk about we have three components, physical, the emotional, the spiritual, but it seems that they allow their spiritual component to become subservient to. So it's as if we give up our will to something greater. And yes, I have prayed to serve the will of the Creator, but it's based on love, on honesty, on altruism, on inclusion. So it's based on including, not hate. Not, if it makes, it's like I say to people when they tell me they go to church, I says, if you go to church and it's making you angry, you should stop. Because constantly being angry is not good for you. If you walk away feeling enlightened, you feel a sense of happiness. Well, this is something that absolutely we know for your physiologically, that's good for you. It has positive effects on your body, your mind, everything. But if you're following something that makes you angry at others, you want to destroy and hate, well, doesn't that sound very much like when we know the demons of deception, hate, greed, lust? They want to create murder and mayhem. And so many of these people, it's like this distorted reality, this alternate reality of it does not matter what you or I, or even they see. They've seen things. And they say, well, that's not true. I have to listen to what this person says. And so I see that we have these demons who understand our psyche. And they understand our weaknesses. And those of us who have not immunized ourselves by building a personal relationship and learning to love, recognizing that we have one creator of all things, and that our proper place is to find harmony with his system. It even without a spiritual or religious connotation, we can exist in harmony with others. But we see this, what I think of this spiritual hypnosis, where these spirits work in consort with each other, and they influence the will, because you see a very common denial of reality, the denial of what they see. I said, did you see this? And they said, but that doesn't matter because I saw this other thing. And I'm like, wow. Or somebody showed me this other thing. And so what I'm seeing is that we have these spirits that have been around forever, and they will be here forever. But they are creating this sort of hypnosis of many. And these former friends of mine, I still love them because we need to love everyone. But we see that they're descending into this pattern of hate, of deception. And it's, again, if it's something good, it's something positive, then it's like more power to it. But when you see people are so bitter, and they're looking for every example of someone I can, these people are no good, we need to get rid of that. And I'm like, why? What about love? And I said, but do you still go to church? Because these are mostly people who, religious people. I said, do you still? Yes, but, and I said, none of us are God avengers. None of us are here to kill others. It's against the commandments. But it seems that we have this mass hypnosis, and I see a spiritual component where there is a collusion of usurping the will of those who are angry, and so that now so many, it's like they see a common vision of hate, of how we need to destroy something, and everyone else is a liar. And I'm saying, but this is all about hate, isn't it? All of these things, and they can't see it. We must recognize that each one of us should strive to fill ourselves with love and understanding. Like I talk about Haley, honesty. When we recognize, we may not understand everything, but strive for honesty. Strive to make honesty an integral part of every group that we're in. Seek to be altruistic, to care about others, rather than be constantly trying to divide because of religion, race, whatever. We seeking to divide, that is not altruistic. Seek to fill ourselves with love and inclusion. We grow even if we are not aware of spiritual growth. We grow. It is better for us. But it seems that there are demons that have been around forever that may now be involved in mass hypnosis. And so that many are being, I don't want to say brainwashed, because these are intelligent people, but they can't see reality. And I hope that each one of us would take the time to reach out to the Almighty, to the Creator, to one that can fill us with love and forgiveness, so that we be better participants in this world. I want to thank you for taking the time to view this, and I remind you that it's not a coincidence that you came across this. It's a series of decisions that led you here, and that you can be uplifted by this. Know that there are others, there are many, many others who out there are seeking to be true servants of the Almighty God. All of those involved in conservation, trying to build a better world, they are all servants. They are all serving the Almighty God. So we can join them and be more enlightened individuals throughout this life. Once again, I want to thank you for taking the time, and until next time, may God bless. Thanks.